So all you had to do as an organizer is to get a majority of the workers in the place where you were working to join the union or agree to join the union. Then the government could come in, have this election, and if the workers select the union, then you've got a union. Then you can bargain collectively with management. This was an enormously important advance, and soon after that, the CIO is formed, and the Auto Workers Union is formed, the Steel Workers Union, the Meat Packers Union. All of these unions in the industrial for the industrial workers get formed in the mid-1930s. One of them, a black union, predominantly black union. Which one was that? Yes? Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. A. Philip Randolph had been trying to organize black railroad workers on the Pullman porters since the 1920s without great success, because what would happen as soon as the Pullman car company found out that someone was trying to organize a union, they would get fired. That makes it very difficult to organize a union. But by the mid-1930s, with this protection, he's able to go in and finally culminate this process, forming the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters. Now, just a few words about Mary McLeod Bethune. I could do a lecture on her. I mean, she's an enormously important individual, someone very complex, because many of the young black radical activists kind of saw her as a spokesperson for Roosevelt and someone kind of in Roosevelt's corner, someone who's kind of sell the New Deal to the black community. But we know now from her writings and from many of the things that she was a very complex individual. She was someone who pushed Roosevelt, and particularly through her relationship with Eleanor Roosevelt, was able to get the Roosevelt administration to do far more than Roosevelt would have wanted to do. Because Roosevelt didn't want to draw attention to the race issue. From Roosevelt's perspective, the issue for the Democratic Party was to get a majority of whites to support the Democratic Party. He liked having the black vote, but he understood that the strength of the Democratic Party was in the South. The solid South was, at that time, the Democratic Party was almost the sole party in many southern states. Black people didn't vote there because they were not allowed to vote. So what would happen if civil rights became the central issue of Roosevelt's New Deal? He would lose the support of the South. So he was willing to do things that did not draw a lot of attention to them. So he was willing to say that the New Deal program should be fairly administered throughout the nation. Okay, everybody should support that. But he was not willing to say, we will support anti-lynching legislation, because that would be seen as giving in to the NAACP, and that would hurt him in the white South. Well, Mary McLeod Bethune understood that limitation. She was able to go to Roosevelt, try to convince him to do what he could. Sometimes he would do symbolic things, like through appointments, black faces in high places, sometimes gets the point across that here's a new administration willing to do something for black people. Now that strategy has been used to the present. And I think it means that you can do something without really changing policy. She was able to convince him to bring black people into the employment programs of the New Deal. She was very concerned about black youth, and she was working for the National Youth Administration. Well, having summer programs, work programs, for young black people to go off and work in a, for example, clearing roads in forested areas, working in parks and other places. All of these provided work and a wage that goes with work and training sometimes that was vital to many African Americans.